everybody. Aaron Hendon with Keller Williams, Christine and Company, and Rational Real Estate Professionals. And this is a video series that I created to go through the Shortchange by Shortcuts book. All right, the 44 surprising ways that people rip themselves off when buying or selling their home. And so many people want to know, what are those 44 shortcuts and how do they rip me off and how can I avoid them and what can I do about them? That I wanted to create a series to really help people understand what they are. So short little videos about that. This is the first one. And the first one, I just want to talk to you about how I wrote the book, why I wrote the book, what the book's really about. It starts with this discovery that I made. It's really not like it's not like I made this discovery. I just happened to come across it. That, the field of economics for history up and through the 70s was based on, related to people operate in a rational manner, that people will always choose that which provides their best good, highest good. People will always operate in a rational manner regarding their choices, which is fundamentally ridiculous because you don't know anyone that always acts in their own best interest. People are never acting in their own best interest. We eat things we shouldn't eat, and we don't save enough money, and we do things on impulse that we regret, and we rationalize choices that we make that make no sense at all except for our rationalizing why we did it. And we are not rational beings. We are irrational beings. And the sort of discovery part of this, we see that's not radical to me. That's like, okay, who's arguing that human beings are rational? We're all make sense. No, none of us, no one who put any thought into it would ever think we're all rational, except we all think we're rational. We think we're the rational ones. That's a problem. It's also interesting and a problem because we're not wildly irrational. Wildly, unpredictably irrational people we call crazy. And we know we're not crazy, but what we are is predictably irrational. So, the work of some noted psychologists, Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, and a great professor over at Duke, Dan Ariely, who you can see their work on YouTube, TED Talks, things like that. You could read The Undoing Project by Michael Lewis. Great book, the guy who wrote Moneyball. Great book on all this. Really came up with the idea that we are predictably irrational, that we use some set rules of thumb, shortcuts, frameworks in which any decision we make that has an uncertain outcome, we're going to filter through this decision-making framework, these heuristics, these rules of thumb. And there's a ton of them. I chose about 5 or 6 of them for this book to go through them, and I'll go through those on the next set of videos. But just to get the idea of what it is look, it's like this. Look, being predictably irrational doesn't make a difference in the minutia of our life. If I'm walking down the street and I see a piano being hoisted into a window by a rope, because obviously I'm now back in a Wile E. Coyote cartoon in the 1950s where pianos are hoisted into windows by ropes. But nonetheless, if I'm walking to work and I see that, I don't need to do the math on walking around it. I don't need to know the tensile strength of the rope, and I don't need to know who's lifting it. I'm just going to walk around it. I'm not taking that chance. Okay? The 15 seconds extra it takes me doesn't matter. I'm going to just walk around it. Okay? That's a quick rule of thumb. Don't risk it. Fine, move around it. But when those shortcuts, when those mental shortcuts actually impact something that's complex, where there is a real outcome, right? Where it really matters, something like a home sale, where a shortcut could actually rip you off from $30,000 if you don't actually do the math on it, well, that's a problem. And the problem is that you don't know you're doing it in either case. It's just snap judgments all the way, going with your gut. Going with your gut when you walk around a piano, not a problem. Going with your gut when you hire a realtor and you hire the agent that's offering a discount that sells homes for 3% less than average but is offering a 2% discount, you lose 1%. There's math that can be done in these situations if you just stop. But you got to stop. And you got to start to notice what shortcuts are using you. So these are not shortcuts that you use. These are shortcuts that use you. And that's why I wrote the book, to have people have the opportunity to slow down during a transaction that's both complex, opaque, wildly impactful, and something that people do very, very rarely. Selling your home is the most expensive thing you're ever going to sell or buy. You do it once every 7 or 8 years, if at all, right? And it's got a myriad of moving parts. It's not a simple transaction, and it's wildly impactful. You don't touch anything more than you touch your home. So to do it based on automatic shortcuts and not really thinking it through doesn't make any sense, and it really irritated me, so I wrote Short Change by Shortcuts. So in the videos that come forward, the videos that go beyond this, check them out, learn about the heuristics, learn about the rules of thumb, learn about how they impact each step of the transaction as you go, and let me know if you have any questions. All right, thanks so much for coming by the blog, and I'll see you soon. Bye.